Nilima Salvi, Assistant Professor, Department of Pharmaceutics, Smriti College of Pharmaceutical Education, Indore. In previous video, we had discussed about the introduction, objective and goals of pre-formulation studies. Now today we are going to start with the topic principal areas of pre-formulation study, or you can say which are the areas in which we deal with the pre-formulation studies, in which first one or first main point is bulk characterization. When we discover a new molecule or new agent, we have to study its all solid properties, in which or the parameter under the heading bulk characterization we study are: first is crystallinity and polymorphism, second is hygroscopicity, third is fine particle characterization, fourth is powder flow characteristic, fifth is bulk density, and sixth is organoleptic properties. So these are the various parameters under the heading bulk characterization. So start with the bulk characterization. We discover whenever we in crystallinity we study about the crystallinity of any drug, tell us about the effect of solubility, bioavailability of drug, and chemical stability of the drug substances. After that, suspension, syringeability, and effect of granulation. In this effect of granulation, after the formation of granules, what would be the effect or what would be the properties of this granules? So this granule property depends on to the crystallinity and polymorphism nature of the raw materials which we will use to prepare the granules. So after this crystallinity, what is polymorphism? So polymorphism is the phenomena in which one substance occur in many more forms. It is known as polymorphism. So when we discuss about any of the chemical compounds which is divided into or categorized into two parts, habit and internal structure. Habit means outer appearance or outer structure of the molecule or substance. So through this habit and internal structure we can study about the flowability of powders and chemical stability of the powders, that how the flow would occur of the powders. Mainly flow of powder and chemical stability of the raw material will depend on to the habit and internal structure. So in this case, internal structure of the substance could be same, but habit could be different for a single internal structure. इसका मतलब ये है कि इंटरनल स्ट्रक्चर एक हो सकता है जिसके बहुत सारे अलग अलग हैबिट्स हो सकते हैं. Then again this internal structure is divided into two parts, that is crystalline and amorphous. So crystalline, in which the molecule or atoms are arranged into highly ordered form, such as in solid, in which molecule or atoms are arranged into a highly ordered or in a particular arrangement way. So they are known as crystalline structures. In this crystalline structure, they also give information about the 3D properties or three-dimensional property of that substance. After that, study about the amorphous. So amorphous substances are those substances which have or which are shapeless. They doesn't have any shape and they have an indefinite structure. It means no particular structure they have. Then crystalline structure is again divided into two parts, that is single entity and molecular adducts. Single entity is also known as polymorph, which have a well defined structure. Then molecular adducts, molecule or atoms are arranged into bulk form or they are arranged into a ordered way. So they are known as molecular adducts. Then molecular adduct again divided into inclusion compound and solvent and hydrates. Solvent and hydrates are those substances when they get crystallized themselves, or in the process of crystallization the substance, when it starts to get crystallized, it starts to absorb or it takes the solvent from the outer environment. So the solvent which they entrap during the process of crystallization, so such type of substances are known as solvents. And if this solvent is water, or the substance when it is getting crystallized, this solvent which he is or which it is taking up into molecule formation or crystallization, if it is water, then it is known as hydrates. So these are solvent and hydrates. After that, inclusion compound which are divided into three categories: channel, layer and clathrates. Clathrates are those which form cage-like structure. So in this, solvent is entrapped during the crystallization process into the channel form, or in between the molecule, or in between the channels of the molecule, the solvent get entrapped. So it is known as channel type of formation. Layer, in which molecules layer and solvent is entrapped again as a layer, so it is known as layer. And in clathrates, there are some cavities. In crystal's cavity, the solvent get entrapped, so it is known as cage-like structure of clathrates. In this habit, as I told earlier, that habit is outer appearance. So habit could be of different, or crystals have different habits. Like this is platy type of outer appearance, this is needle or acicular type of outer appearance, this is tabular, this is prismatic, bladed and equant or massive type of outer appearance of different crystals. After the characterization, the methods through which, or analytical methods through which we can characterize any solid substances, in which this solid, it could be any drug or API or any of the excipients. So which are the analytical methods? The very first is microscopy, second is hot stage microscopy, third differential scanning calorimetry, then fourth is differential thermal analysis, fifth is thermogravimetric analysis, sixth is infrared spectroscopy, seventh X-ray powder diffraction technique, eighth is scanning electron microscopy, ninth is dissolution or solubility analysis of solids, in which very first technique or analytical method is microscopy. In microscopy, mainly the sample amount should be approx 1 mg. Okay? After that, the second method, in this microscopic technique, we can find out the morphology of solid material, its size and shape. So through microscopy, we can find out solid's morphology, size and shape. The second method is hot stage microscopy. So in this hot stage microscopy, when the minimum amount of sample is required, that is 1 mg. Then in hot stage microscopy, the disadvantage is that when we put sample to this technique, hot stage microscopy, the sample get melt. After that melting of sample, this melt cannot be recrystallized on cooling. So it is totally destructive, or sample won't be recovered after the technique application. So in this hot stage microscopy, the substances or material which are heat sensitive, we cannot analyze them through hot stage microscopy. The third technique is differential scanning calorimetry. In this, the minimum amount of sample which is required is 2 to 5 mg. And in this differential scanning calorimetry, it is also known as DSC. In this technique, we plot temperature against the difference into the energy. So in sample and in reference, the difference between the energy is reported against the temperature. So this was DSC, differential scaling calorimetry. Fourth method is differential thermal analysis, the minimum sample which is required is 10 mg. In this, what we do, we measure the difference into the temperature difference of sample and reference material. So, in this graph, the upper peak or the high peak is known as exothermic peak and the lower peak is known as endothermic peak. So, this was differential thermal analysis which is also known as DTA. Another method is, or before this thermogravimetric analysis, this DSC and DTA, these both methods are useful into the pre-formulation studies. How these two methods help us into pre-formulation study is, the very first, through these methods we can determine the sample's purity, and after that we can also determine the number of polymorph which are present into the sample. The sample could be any drug or any other raw material or excipient which are employed to manufacture the dosage form. Then third application is that to determine the each ratio of polymorph, in which concentration the different polymorphs are present. Through this technique we also can find out the ratio of polymorph. Then heat solvation also could be determined through DSC and DTA. Then thermal degradation of drug and excipients could also be studied through DSC and DTA. Then glass transition temperature of the polymorph could be determined through DSC and DTA. After that, thermogravimetric analysis, in this minimum sample requirement is 500 mg, and in this analysis the change into the sample weight and dissolution and decomposition could be find out through this method. After that, infrared spectroscopy. In this we require minimum 2 mg of sample. In this, through infrared or this radiation, we find out the solids morphology or the composition of the material. Through this we can find out the composition which is present into the material. Then X-ray powder diffraction technique. In this we require the sample from mg to gram. Then in this what happens, X-ray beam of light is put onto the sample, then the diffraction occurs of the crystal which are present into the powder. So because of that crystal, the diffraction of light occurs. So by measuring this diffraction of light, we can find this powder's character, whether the powder is amorphous or crystalline. So this we can find through X-ray diffraction technique, because only crystals diffract the light but amorphous powder cannot diffract the light. So this was X-ray powder diffraction technique. And the next is scanning electron microscopy. In this scanning electron microscopy, we can find out the surface morphology of sample or of any drug. Then dissolution or solubility analysis. In dissolution and solubility analysis, we can find out the solubility parameters or solubility characteristic of any solid materials, that in which solvent the substance or the solid is soluble. So these were the different analytical methods through which we can characterize the solid substances.